This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, friends. Oh, that's my teacher voice. I'll call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. It's the Public Safety Committee meeting. We have John, Councillor Marquis, and Councillor Schmidt. We are ready to begin. So the first order of business is to, sorry, I'm letting people in, confirm our minutes from the last meeting.
Move to approve the minutes from June 2nd.
So moved.
No, I move.
Sorry, second. I'm so sorry.
Or I'll second if you want.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Now it is public speak time. So if you would like to speak, would you like to speak? We have one person visiting here in the building. They do not wish to speak, so I will call people in the online audience. I want to say first that just like with City Council, with public speak, you need to give your name and your address or where you live in the city, and you also need to, everyone should know that we cannot respond to things that come up in public speak because it's not a public hearing. So people can speak and we will write down notes and we can follow up with you. But unfortunately, we can't have a discussion during this time as the laws of public meeting law say. So I see one hand, I see Michael Lynch. So let me get you ready, Michael. You can go ahead and speak.
Hello, my name is Michael Lynch, 1 Louise Avenue. Thank you, Council, for having me. I would like to speak about the flock cameras that Easthampton has and license plate readers generally. So for the past year or so, probably more than that, license plate reader cameras have come up in City Council meetings, and there have been confusing answers from public officials, but the recurring theme seems to be that city officials believed that the data that flock cameras were collecting or that license plate readers were collecting was not being shared outside of Easthampton. And I filed public data requests to get the search logs for Easthampton's flock cameras, and I found that there were 4.2 million searches since January of 2025 from organizations outside of Easthampton. And so that contradicts the some of the discussions that have occurred from public officials saying that this data was not shared because there were 4.2 million searches. And I still haven't heard an explanation from city officials or the chief of police as to how there can be 4.2 million searches of Easthampton's data from outside organizations, and it also be true that we're not sharing data. Like it strongly suggests that public officials were mistaken about how the sharing was configured. My other concern with the license plate readers is that there were, from the public data requests, there appears to be several ways where Easthampton is not following its official policy regarding license plate readers. So in the policy document 1.19, which is the Easthampton Police Department's policy on license plate readers, it has requirements that the police department establish protocols for access, collection, storage, and retention of license plate reader data and associated media files, establishing protocols to preserve and document license plate reader reads and alerts, establishing protocols to ensure security and integrity of data captured. And so I filed a public data request for those protocols. And Lieutenant Andrew Bolu told me that the only policy that he could give me was that policy 1.19 itself that calls for other protocols. So my understanding is that these protocols to ensure responsible usage of license plate reader data were never created, or at the very least are not available. There is also a requirement in the manual that license plate reader data is only for official police business, but I found records in the logs from an organization called Flock City PD, Law Enforcement Demo. There's no such place as Flock City, and they don't have a police department. I believe this is the marketing department of Flock Safety, who is performing these demos as part of their sales. I don't have confirmation for that. It's possible that this is demos for Easthampton, but I've seen other reports in other cities that this is marketing. So if it is marketing, they were using Easthampton data, that would violate our policy, and we should not have given them access so that they could use Easthampton's license plate reader data for marketing. One of the other requirements is that the police are required to maintain records identifying approved license plate reader deployments and documenting their results, including appropriate documentation of significant incidents and arrests that are related to license plate reader usage. So I filed a public data request for a list of the arrests that were a consequence of the license plate readers, the Easthampton Flock cameras. And I was told by Lieutenant Andrew Brulow that we do not have a way in our record system to filter out arrests in which Flock was used, which seems to contradict the requirements of the license plate readers system. The policy on license plate readers also says that the data retention, we're only supposed to keep the data for 30 days, but the searches show many searches beyond a 30-day window. There was a search for over a 176-day period for loitering, which suggests that the officers either are not aware of how to perform searches properly, or they are in fact saving data longer than 30 days in violation of policy. So I'm hoping to get clarity on those. I know that can't happen right now, but I would like to get some clarity, because as recently as a few weeks ago, Chief of Police said that they are not sharing the data with other organizations, and I've seen a lot of data that I can't understand how that can be true with the data that I've seen. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to ask him to repeat something for minutes, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
Michael, could you repeat what you said about this Flock City and it being a marketing campaign for something?
Yes, the search audit history has a list of all the organizations that have performed searches against Easthampton's Flock data. One of the organizations is called Flock City PD. They're listed in the log as Flock City PD Law Enforcement Demo, and they performed 82 searches since 2025. I've seen other news reports for other cities where Flock uses the city data for marketing purposes as sales pitches to other police departments. So I suspect that's what it is. I don't have confirmation on that. It's possible that it's some kind of tech support for our police department, but I'd like to get clarity on that from the police department.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. I want to just mention that I did receive your email, and you laid things out really, really well and clear for us to kind of follow up with, I guess, the chief of police at this point. I know we can't really respond too much, but I do think one point that we should, just say is that the chief has taken action to have the cameras removed at this point. So that is in the works. And we have gotten confirmation from them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I saw Kathy Wyszynski first. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Kathy Wyszynski, over Drive. I wanted to follow up on what Mike was saying about the Flock cameras and the policy, and just to for city councilors information, if you want more information about the Flock City demo, there are YouTube news reports on these issues. under watching the watchers. So you can get some additional information about other cities that have had problems with the Flock City demo and issues with the flock cameras being used inappropriately. I'm glad to hear that they're down because there isn't a good policy. If they go back up again, I think one of the policies that we need to put in place is some policy around how they're used for investigative purposes and that they can't be the sole piece of information. There are many news reports about people being arrested based on flock camera information that was inaccurate or poorly investigated. And I think that's important that it not be the only piece of it. If we're going to arrest somebody, it cannot be the only piece of evidence that we're using to arrest somebody. Unless, of course, it's speeding or something, traffic violation, where it's so obvious from the camera that that is the issue. So that is the big thing that I wanted to make sure that if we're using them, we have well thought out policies that are trained on and monitored.
Thank you so much. One thing I just want to clarify. So I don't have confirmation that the flock cameras have actually been removed. I do have confirmation that a request has been put in for them to be taken down by the company, just so everyone knows. Chris, your name and address, please.
Hi, Chris O'Connor, Ashley Circle. This is really important to make sure from two fronts. Obviously, that we really understand technology that comes into our space. In other words, what it does, what our intent is, what our hope is to achieve by that, and to be very mindful of when we assess that, does it meet our needs? And then it's really important that IT or another party be brought in. Typically it's IT in the corporate structure, and they then sit down with the department, because what happens, just to help with the bigger picture here, is departments, they come across great, it's in their space, and they come across great software, hardware that will help them do their job. But most things involve technology now. So it really is important that we, unfortunately, put another burden on the IT department to meet with them, understand what they're trying to do, and then to talk about the controls. What kind of hardware, what kind of software, is there a database involved, who's going to access it? And from a technology perspective, they then can lock this down so that certain traffic doesn't go out, or database doesn't get access. There's just different controls you can set up. So we set ourselves up for success if we have that partnership. And this should be policy, actually, from a process and procedures perspective. No one should be putting any software or hardware on our network except if it goes through the IT department and they fully understand what the guidelines are and what the controls should be. And they should be accountable to locking this down to exactly what the intent is. So if more is needed in this, I'm very familiar with this whole process. I'd be glad to talk further, but I think it's really important that anything that we have currently should be, even in the school space or whatever, should be known to the IT department and making sure that it fits the bill for what our intent was. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't see anybody else, or is there another one?
The person up there, John Anthony.
I don't think his hand is raised.
I just want to write his name down.
Oh, okay. I don't think I see anybody else for public speak right now. So I will close public speak time. And we will actually move on to, we don't have any new business, so we'll move on to our continuing ongoing business and the quarterly review of public safety departments, which will be Chief Morris tonight. Morris, let me get in here.
Pause for a moment and pull up the presentation.
Yes, I have multiple things pulled up at the same time. That is my problem. Get this one pulled up next. Yeah, got it. Remember how to share? Or not really?
Little thing on the bottom of the up arrow.
Yeah. Turn off this one here. This is so silly. All right, I guess that's the best I can do, right?
If you started the slideshow, you could then alt tab into Meet and select it. Does that make sense?
Alt tab.
Yeah,
Like
keep alt and
command
hit tab.
Oh,
Well, or
Which
yeah,
is
maybe
alt.
command tab on your computer. The thing that goes between windows.
that's the new. Sorry, everybody. Can we just go that way? Is that good enough?
Just want to know if, unless something's we stray far away from this agenda, I'm going to attach the agenda
Okay.
and just see attached agenda for the minutes sake.
Yeah, and so as we're queuing this up, I did email the agenda outline as well as a presentation for, perfect, yep. So you have that for your records, and we'll expand upon some of that as we go through this evening.
I'm sorry, everybody. This thing is always too much to deal with.
You're doing fine, take your time.
Okay, I think this is the best we're gonna get. Is that
Perfect.
pretty good?
Yep, we can make that work. Yes.
Yes. All right, that looks pretty good, right? All right, let's go for it.
All right, so again, thank you, good evening. Always welcome the opportunity to come before this committee and any committee in the city of Easthampton just to give continual updates as to our operations, administrations, and ongoing in the city of Easthampton. You can go to the next slide. Every time I do a presentation, I open up with a mission statement. And again, just for the public who may be viewing us for the first time or listening in for the first time, it's just a reminder, when you talk about the fire department, we have a very diverse mission, and that involves not only fire responses, but also certainly emergency medical services responses. And then we have fire prevention, inspection services to always ensure the health and safety of everyone in the community of Easthampton. You can go to the next slide. So for tonight's purposes and quarterly updates, I wanted just to update this committee and certainly the public on just some quick personnel updates. Right now, we have 2 people currently on light duty that are recovering from some off-duty injuries. We have 1 on family medical leave for their family who just had a young child. And I've got 1 currently on injured on duty, IOD status, that is currently going through the retirement process. So that kind of gives you just a quick snapshot there. In terms of looking out in our projections for this fall, late summer, early fall, we'll have 4 firefighters that will be out this fall on Family Medical Leave Act for newborn children. So certainly we need to just take that into account as we move our people around to try to balance out our groups. to minimize the overtime occurrences that may occur on each shift. The other exciting news that I have for this group is the lieutenant's exam. So I'll talk more about it in later on slides, but we had a number of individuals take the state promotional exams for lieutenant. We had everyone who took that exam passed it. So we have 5 positions that will be upgraded and promoted to the lieutenant positions. That list from the state will be certified on August 1st. And from that list, we'll promote the top 5 positions to the rank of lieutenant. That will take effect on August 26th. So out of the 5 lieutenant positions, 4 will go on shifts. So you'll have, we have 4 shifts. So you'll have a captain and a lieutenant and 6 firefighters per shift. And then 1 will be in fire prevention. So those are the 5 lieutenant positions that you'll hear about. You can go to the next slide. So when you look at the fire department organizational chart and structure, it hasn't changed dramatically. So obviously the fire chief position, we have the office manager. When you look at the far left-hand side, we have the fire prevention captain. And currently there's a firefighter underneath that position that will just get reclassified to fire lieutenant. It's not adding any positions. It's just reclassifying the title of that position. Then when you go over to the deputy fire chief who oversees our operations, you have the 4 shifts underneath them, A group, B group, C group, and D group. So each of those 4 shifts will be overseen by a captain, which is currently the structure. Then you'll have 1 lieutenant under each captain in each of those respective shifts. And then you'll have the 6 firefighters underneath both of them. So again, just for this group and for everyone, it's not adding any positions. It's just reclassifying those 5 positions. And then we still have the training officer of the rank of captain as well, which is currently has been in place for 6 years now. So that will be the new organizational structure once we make these promotions in August.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Does that change like salaries and budget?
it does. So go to the next slide and I'll talk about that. So in terms of this organizational restructuring, this wasn't done over the last couple of months. This has been a plan and a vision for our organization over the last 2 years, to the point where, based on just labor contractual collective bargaining agreements, you just can't go and just implement this. It has to be bargained with all the labor unions. So this has been going on now for 2 years. So again, there's no new positions that are added. And the reasons for this are it's going to provide greater internal advancement and growth opportunities. When you look at departments across the country, particularly with the younger generations coming up through, they want opportunities for growth and mentorship and advancement. If you don't provide that, what happens typically is you bring them on your organization, you get them trained up, and now they're more marketable to go to another organization with greater opportunities. So in terms of recruitment and retention of personnel, it's certainly going to help with that. Certainly, we're always proud to share with the public and the city leadership that over the last 6 years, we have not lost 1 person to any other department. But on the other side, we have captured more than 6 people from other departments who have come to Easthampton to work for this city. In terms of looking at overtime has always been a topic of conversation for the last 6 years I've been here. So when you look at what this does for overtime, it's going to actually help stabilize overtime within the officer rank. And what do I mean by that? This department, this city, has a 30-year plus history of when you just have 1 captain running each of those 4 shifts that I just showed you. Anytime that captain is out, they have to hire overtime to cover to make sure someone's in charge. What this will do is now if a captain or the lieutenant's out, now no longer do we have to hire captain for captain. So it now stabilizes that. So even if the captain's on vacation time, out sick, whatever, now this lieutenant will run the shift and be in charge for that entire tour. So there was a lot of times over the last many years where even if our minimum staffing currently is 5 people per shift. So even if the captain was out and they had 6 people on shift, they would still hire overtime to make sure some officer was in charge. So I hope that makes sense in terms of how that will help stabilize that. Other things that we'll do is in terms of just the safety of the overall operational responses. Now we'll have the ability to have 2 officers on each shift the majority of the time, unless someone's out, sick or whatever. And now we'd have that direct oversight by the sworn officer, whether it's the lieutenant or the captain. And then finally, in terms of just succession planning, right now, when you go from the rank of firefighter to captain, it's challenging because there's really not a process for that maturation of understanding the roles, responsibilities. Now coming in as a lieutenant, they have the opportunity to work under a captain, kind of get their feet wet a little bit before taking on that full responsibility. And then finally, in terms of the question about that part of the negotiation process, in terms of that, when we reorganize this, some of the base salaries change as part of that negotiation process, but that was negated by the savings and overtime when you no longer have to hire a captain for captain.
So it will not affect the budget that you have had approved.
It's
before.
not, no, the current budget as approved, this was not going to be changed because again, it was negotiated over 18 months ago now.
Great, thank you.
So no new positions added. It doesn't change our budget. And this plan has been in place for about 2 years now.
I remember you coming and telling us about it the
Correct.
last time. Yes.
While we're on the topic of the budget, quick question. I think throughout the budget process, you had mentioned a couple of times the potential of retirements in the future, but it's impossible to predict with 100% certainty. If it's okay to ask, I'm just curious if one of those possible retirements that you foresaw is the individual that you mentioned earlier, if this was sort of an unforeseen thing brought on by injury.
This one is unforeseen, brought on by injury.
Okay.
The other one that I did speak about is a different individual.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. You have one other question not related to the budget, which is it typical to send 5 people for the lieutenant exam? And second, is it typical that all 5 of those people pass the exam?
No, so I'll stand before any group and continually express how proud I am of our personnel to have all of our people who took the exam, every one of them passed it. That I'll say is a good anomaly because that's atypical. Across the state with the civil service exam, they're very challenging. It takes a lot of time, effort, studying, and it's a great reflection for the personnel we have at the Easthampton Fire Department to have every one of them pass that promotional exam.
Say agreed. I think that reflects all the way up, and so thank you for supporting them in that endeavor.
And to kind of close this one out as we move forward also, I can't stress enough that as we've worked with the city to build the organization over the last few years, the department, the organization has become desirable for people to want to come invest their time, family, education, and profession to the city of Easthampton, and they're staying here. So when you talk about in business, the return on investment, we're sending people that we hire to the academy, to paramedic school. We're investing in them some outside training, and that return on investment absolutely has proven over the last 6 years they're staying here and delivering that service that is so vital.
Thank you.
So I'll give you an example as we segue into talking about these different personnel and some of their capabilities. We had a pretty severe fire on Exeter Street back in early June. And I share this with you because it's always an opportunity to share with, again, the city leadership and the public some of the challenges that are faced. So when you talk about NFPA is the National Fire Protection Association. That organization develops consensus standards across this entire world for fire departments anywhere that are operating. So when you see a fire like this, what NFPA 1710, the National Fire Protection Association, says is you need to have 17 people that should be able to respond to this type of incident. Now, I'll pause there and I'll be the first one to say, is it realistic for the city of Easthampton to have 17 people on duty to respond to these fires? Absolutely not. So I'll get there, and how we meet that standard, I'll get there. But when you look at those 17 people, you talk about an incident commander, basically someone who's in charge. You have one initial pump operator. You have 4 people on attack line, so that's 2 people for each attack line. You have 2 people securing a water supply tying into the hydrants. You have 2 people conducting primary searches, looking for any occupants in the building. You have 2 people throwing ground ladders for secondary means of egress and access to other points in the building. And you have 4 people dedicated as a rapid intervention crew. What that means is basically they're on standby. So if any firefighters operating in a building fall through a floor, have a ceiling collapse on them, any problems, they're able to easily and readily be deployed to help save them. And then the last one is the 1 aerial operator for a total of 17. So for this fire you're looking at right here, this was in the first couple minutes. You can see the first line is stretched. This is a 2-family house. It went in that front door up to the 2nd floor in this 3-story fire. We had 4 people on shift that responded to this fire immediately. Far from that 17 people. There were 6 people on for this day. 2 were committed on an ambulance call to Noble Hospital in Westfield. So what does that mean for us? Back 6 years ago, we implemented for the first time for this community a system, what they call automatic aid. I've talked about this before, but this is a great opportunity just to remind people, given this event. When we have a surge event, a severe event like this in the city of Easthampton, the staffing we have, if all 8 people are on duty today in Easthampton, those 8 people aren't going to be able to do what they need to do in the matter of time. So we tone out all of our people on duty, whether it's 6, 7, or 8 people. They respond to this call. Then our dispatch center immediately calls Northampton for an engine and an ambulance for 6 people. We call Barnes with an engine for 4, and we call Southampton for an ambulance with 2. And then you have myself and the deputy who responded. And I was home on vacation this day, so myself and the deputy both came back for this fire as well. So that's how we get to that 17 to build it up. Yes, it's not available immediately, but certainly the conversation came up a lot over the last couple of months. Mutual aid, what does that mean? Mutual aid was never intended to cover your day-to-day responses. Mutual aid is intended for these large surge events that overwhelm your daily staffing needs. So that's a system we have in place. It works very well for these surge larger events, and it helps meet these national standards and certainly mitigate these types of emergencies. If you go to this location today, the house to the right-hand side, that siding was all melted on that right-hand side. I remember when I pulled up soon after this picture was taken, one of my first thoughts was, please don't let it start extending down the block to other houses. And it certainly was a high potential for this case right here. The last thing I'll talk about with this slide, just real quick to give you that understanding. We a minute ago talked about the reclassifications of lieutenants coming up in August. So if you look at this fire right here, if I had 8 people on, I would have 4 people respond on one engine with the captain, 4 people on the other engine respond with the lieutenant, okay? I'm sorry, 3, so 4 and 4. Lieutenant on one engine, a captain on the other engine. So looking at this fire as they show up, we talked about firefighter safety. I now will have the ability to send 1 captain in the front door right to the fire floor on the 2nd level. Then we know fire, smoke, heat, and gases go up. You can see the 3rd floor right above there. I then will have the ability to send the lieutenant with their crew up to the 3rd floor with their direct oversight with that crew there. So when I talk about firefighter safety, I wanted to just tie it into a real example, using this picture as well.
I have a question. I'm looking at the building now and, please correct me if I'm wrong. This building is a two-family building or is it four?
My understanding was you're going to the left, to the right was one side, to the left was another one. So two separate units.
Okay. Where, was the, other than smoke damage, water damage or whatever, was it pretty much contained to the second floor in that, space, or did it travel much?
It traveled up to the third floor, and we at one point,
Yeah, I see the dormer for the. Yeah.
about 10 minutes into it, when they were all in the building, I called the evacuation tones. I evacuated everyone from the building. About a minute after that, the ceiling collapsed. So we went to exterior operations for about 15 minutes. We let it settle. We went back in there to continue putting it out.
The third floor ceiling, not the roof.
The roof collapsed.
The roof, okay.
The roof collapsed. So, the house had significant damage.
When you say aerial operator, is that the person in the bucket truck or is that like a helicopter?
Bucket truck, and great segue, go to the next slide. So, start off on the right-hand side of this, and these pictures are a little bit smaller, but look at the right-hand side picture first. That is the fire building. That is looking from the street view from what we'll call the A side. So, to your question, we talk about area operations. This one here on the right-hand side, you can see a ladder, an aerial ladder. That was Hoyok who came in on mutual aid. They helped protect that building to the right, which had the side melt. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, that is our aerial ladder in operation, putting water on the back side of the building and protecting the building on the left and in the back. The bottom left-hand side, you can see a red engine. That's Northampton's protecting that side.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's harder to see, but the house straight in the back. Right behind there is Westfield's ladder. They were getting set up. Actually, I'm sorry, go to the other picture now. It's probably a little bit better. Okay. You can see, there it is right there. That's Westfield's ladder. So Westfield set their ladder up for air operations. So they were protecting those back house. They raised their ladder up and over. So they were protecting those back houses. Hoyok was on one side. Our ladder's in the bottom one there, protecting that side. And then Northampton in the front, protecting that with our other engine. So we had it fully surrounded. We used a lot of mutual aid. But when you look at these older buildings, how tight they're packed down in these parts of the city with close exposures, you certainly need those resources given the potential it could grow to. I just wanted to share those pictures with you, talking about just staffing where people are and how we manage that in terms of these surge events. So
Now you mentioned that there were 6 on that day.
we had 6 people on that day. When this call came in, 2 from shift were on an ambulance call in Westfield to Noble Hospital. And then the 4 other people who were left back at the station responded to this call initially by themselves.
Now the chart has us at like 8 people is what we like. Is that true?
So with the 4 shifts,
Yeah.
they're all staffed for 8 people. But if someone's out on vacation, now you have 7. If someone's on vacation and out sick, now you have 6 people. So currently we'll drop down to a minimum of 5 people. That's going to change based on contractual changes in December. We're going to go from 5 until 6.
Do you take any data on how, like, what percentage of the time you have the full 8 on versus
We
6?
don't.
Do you track that at all?
We don't have that.
You don't have
We
that.
don't have
That would
that.
be interesting to see.
Yeah. So let's switch gears and talk about revenue. This is always, I think it's always fun to talk about. So as we closed out fiscal year 2026, we closed out our budget, and obviously we looked at our revenue. Again, for this group and for the general public, as a reminder, all this goes to the general fund. So when I talk revenue for the fire department, I talk about really 4 different buckets. So on the right-hand side, the first bucket is EMS 911 transports. And what that means is anytime we transport a patient, we bill their insurance company. So for FY 2026, when we close it out, you can see we collected $1,427,780. Those are from your ambulance transports from billing the insurance company. The next bucket is the contract with Westhampton. So last July 1st, 2025, was the last year of the 3-year contract with Westhampton. Then it was renewed for this July. We talked about that. So we sent the town of Westhampton an invoice for $40,000. So that's another bucket. The third one is the contract with Southampton. And again, just as a reminder, because again, it's so fresh in people's minds, people have asked me many times over the last couple of months, what control measures has the fire department put in place to help control costs? So again, back in November of 2021, we changed our mutual aid agreements. Before, we were going to Holyoke over 100 times, and they were coming here 0. Southampton, we were going over there 150 plus or minus times. They were coming over here a dozen or so. And again, that's not mutual aid. That's subsidizing services that those communities are responsible for. I canceled those contracts, those mutual aid contracts. We offered up a renegotiation with Holyoke, which they denied. So we no longer go to Holyoke except on parade weekend. I open it back up for parade weekend. Southampton, we negotiated a contract with them. So every time we go to Southampton, we charge the town $500 per call, and then we bill the patient like we always do as well. So that contract with Southampton, we charged them last fiscal year $44,500. And then the fourth bucket is the CPE program, which is the Certified Public Expenditure Program. That's your Medicare program. Medicare knows that they don't reimburse us the cost for providing the service. So every year, services have the opportunity to fill out a bunch of spreadsheets, submit the data, they run their formulas, and then they tell us around springtime how much money they're going to get back. So we just got a check from them a few weeks ago for $48,578. So the total is just over 1.5 million, as you can see the exact amount at the bottom there, which when you look at last year was just over $130,000 more than last fiscal year, which is a positive thing. Yes.
I have a question. Okay, so we have contract with Westhampton, Southampton, et cetera, but you had just showed that Northampton aided us in this fire. Do we still do that type of stuff if we need to?
Great question. So fire responses, because typically your fire responses are more mutual for these larger surge events.
Mm-hmm.
It's reciprocal. There's no cost exchange.
Okay.
So if Northampton came over here, if they have a fire today, which I hope they don't, but if they have a fire today, we have automatic aid with them. We go over there as well for their fires. Okay. So that's all reciprocal. There's no charge.
Okay. But for Westhampton and Southampton, do we act as their fire department or just extra? Like, help me understand.
That's a great question. Those contracts are for EMS services only.
Okay.
So now, does that mean if Westhampton, if they have a fire tonight, and again, I hope they don't, if they have a house fire tonight, will they call us for mutual aid? Yes, they will. We'll still go there with an engine to cover a fire response. Southampton, 2 weeks ago, there was a structure fire on Brickyard Road. Our engine was the first one to respond there. We arrived first on scene for that structure fire in Southampton. So please understand that the contracts that I talk about are just for EMS because EMS is so much more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And the call volume is just so much greater. But we will still occasionally, as needed for these larger events, send an engine to Westhampton, Northampton, Southampton mutual aid, where it's reciprocal all those other times.
So Westhampton and Southampton do have their respective fire departments.
Yes.
So I know a lot. I grew up in Granby, Connecticut. It was all volunteer. Like, yes, did they get funds from the city, but it was all volunteer.
As is Westhampton, and Southampton has, I believe, still 2 full-time people, and then those full-timers are supplemented by call personnel. People are on call to respond when a call comes in. So it's a different demographic mix of a department, but they have their own respective fire departments.
Now, Chief Norris, if Holyoke were to have like a huge factory fire or something in one of their mill buildings, we would still respond to
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just the ambulance stuff that we're not
Correct.
delayed with, but we would still respond to like a gigantic fire.
Correct. And that's a great point as well, because one of the significant differences with Holyoke is they have a contract with a for-profit ambulance service. So they come in, they go out to the city of Holyoke goes out to bid, and they say, this is what our call volume is. All the for-profit ambulances, who wants to bid on that? So these companies will typically come in and do what they call a zero bid. I won't charge your city anything. But then what happens is, if Holyoke needs, I'm making stuff up now, if they need 4 ambulances, okay, the private provider may only give them 2, because those 2 ambulances will always be busy. And if a third call comes in, then they call the Easthamptons for mutual aid, because they're still making their money. So that's why it's incumbent upon the municipalities to sign contracts to hold these for-profit companies responsible to meet the demand of the service and not push it off on other communities. And Holyoke understands that. And again, they chose not to sign the private provider chose not to sign a mutual aid agreement with us. And the last thing I'll share with you is, because of different systems, Holyoke Fire is currently in the process of exploring a fire-based EMS model to back up their private system.
Yes.
Thank you. Couple questions about the structure of contracts. You mentioned $500 per call for Southampton. That work out to about 89 calls for this particular number. Is that something that we're billing them that $500 like every call, or is it happening kind of
Every month.
every month?
Every month.
Makes sense. For the Westhampton, are they invoiced for that upfront?
They are. So to your point, I made the comment earlier, that number there was the 3rd year of the final contract. That was renegotiated earlier in the year by the city. So we just sent the town of Westhampton for this current fiscal year an invoice for $60,000. We increased our contract by 50%. So that was just sent out earlier this week for this current fiscal year.
Thank you.
And then trends are always fun to look at. So again, I added in 2026. When you look back the last X amount of years, you can see that, and this is the revenue trend line. And as long as we can still have that going up, we're in a positive direction. And again, all that money goes all into the general fund.
Fair to say that drop in 2025 is probably from that Holyoke contract being canceled?
That drop in 2025, no, because that Holyoke contract was canceled back in 2021.
Gotcha. Okay.
Your revenues are driven off of call volume, number of calls you do, and also the level of the call and the payer mix. Those are your 3 big variables. And I just want to explain that a little bit. The call volume makes sense. The more calls you do, the more patients you're going to bill. So that makes sense. The second one is the level of service. We can go right now to someone who stubs their toe. They call 911. It's a basic level call. We're going to do basic level services and give them a ride to an emergency room. You're not going to charge a advanced life support rate because it doesn't require that. So when I talk about the level of call, if it's an advanced life support, it has a higher charge compared to a basic life support one. And then the final one is your payer mix. Again, when 911's called, we don't stop and pause and care Medicaid. About 75% of the people we transport have that insurance carrier, and then 25% is private insurance. So we could have had a higher payer mix that fiscal year. Instead of 75-25, it could have been 80-20 or whatever. But those are the 3 main drivers that reflect your collections for ambulance revenue. So around the same theme here, grants and alternative funding sources, which we always look at. So again, DFS, the Department of Fire Services, we received an equipment grant. It's a state grant for $19,000 that helped purchase 6 new portable radios. So we were happy about that. The SAFE and Senior SAFE grants, which are again state grants, annual grants. The SAFE grant is for our education in the schools. And then the Senior SAFE grant, that's in collaboration with the Council on Aging Center to do programs for our elders for slips and falls, things of that nature. We received $8,100 from that. We did apply for a joint regional grant with Dispatch. We applied for $309,000 for upgrades to our station alerting system. That's basically the lights, the audios throughout the entire apparatus floor, upstairs, downstairs, basement, to alert everyone. The AFG, the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. I spoke with the mayor and got his permission back a month ago. The deadline was June 19th. We applied for 4 new cardiac monitors. The total cost was $255,000. And then we also applied for a new engine, and that was $915,000. The one thing, the reason I share that, I always, before I apply for these grants, they're matching grants. So based on the population of Easthampton, if we're awarded either of these grants, it requires a 5% match. So instead of just applying for it and not telling the city leadership about it, and then you get it, you're all excited, and then you have to come up with $10,000 that they don't have. So both of these items, the cardiac monitors and the new engine, are on our capital improvements plan. And so my hope is the cardiac monitors one, I think we have a higher ability to potentially get that one based on the age of our monitors, the use of these monitors are used on the ambulances. They're getting used 4,000, 5,000 times a year. The age of them are well over the lifespan of the monitors. So that I'm always setting myself up for failure, but I hope we have a good chance of getting that one. The engine's a little bit more challenging because we have 2 engines. One's a 2002, one's a 2018. When you apply for vehicles, they don't look at just the one you're looking to replace. They look at the newer one as well. So, we applied for it, obviously, and we'll give it our best shot, but it's always a lesser priority because the community has a newer engine that's reliable. It doesn't get weighted as heavily. But we're doing our best. We're looking at it and we're giving it a shot. The worst they can tell us is no. So we're looking at all the available options for alternative funding.
That was the one that we talked about last time, right? That was like 1.5 million or something.
We talked about a number of things. I think I talked to this group about ambulances.
We talked about the ambulance, then we
And
started
it
talking
was
about
the same reason I think I shared with this group at that time. We have 3 ambulances. 2 of them are 2023s. We got 1 on a grant and 1 was paid for out of the cannabis fund. So that third one's a 2018. It's got 160,000 plus miles on it. It needs to be replaced. It's on our capital improvements plan. But because 2 of the 3 are newer, that one wouldn't be worth it. So we looked at the bigger number and the engine to give it a shot. My goal is over the next couple years, let's continue to refine it, see what happens, get feedback, and keep on submitting it while we refine it and see what happens. Continue to provide the service on the older engine to keep it in service so we have to. But if we can hit a new engine over the next 5 years, that's my goal. So, and then the last one is 2 earmarks. Again, we heard a lot over the last couple of months, rightfully so, about looking for alternative funding sources. And I shared with the finance committee at the time that I've made many of trips for this community out to Boston and have testified in terms of reimbursement bills, in terms of earmarks, and advocated for funding. We have 2 of those that have moved favorably, one through the House of 50,000, one through the Senate of 50,000. One is earmarked for extrication equipment, the jaws of light and cutters, and the other one is for communications equipment. So as that kind of comes towards a finale here, the one thing I share with people is I've learned over my career, even when you're awarded these earmarks, what I've learned is you don't want to spend those right away. because if the governor ever does mid-year 9C cuts, typically some of the first things that they go back and claw back are earmarks. So you may get $100,000, but in December, you may get an email saying, yeah, we're cutting those back to $25,000 each. Well, if you've already spent that money, that was ill-advised by you. So we'll keep everyone updated, but my goal is to, if that does get finalized, I probably wouldn't act upon that without, number one, the mayor's approval, and it wouldn't be till maybe January for that reason. So hope that makes sense.
You'll hear about the AFG grant.
So the federal fiscal year runs October 1st to September 30th. They're supposed to have all the money allocated by the end of the federal fiscal year. That's what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to tell you, I'm hoping to hear by the end of September. So overtime, we talked about this a little bit as well. So this is our spreadsheet, and I'll start off by giving our office manager, Brenda Ruthier, huge kudos. She does an incredible job running all these numbers, keeping track of everything. And a couple things. Number one, I share this with you to hopefully get, hopefully to provide you reassurance that we take overtime very seriously. And we will track, I always look back 3 years. I like to look at trends. And if you can scale out just a little bit, I want to show you right there first. So there's 3 buckets of overtime in the fire department budgets. So on the far left-hand one, it's the shift overtime. The middle one is training overtime. And then the far right-hand one is EMS callback overtime. So in our budget, those are your 3 line items. I've outlined those in our budgets on our website and all that. I talked about these quite a bit. The 1 through 27, those are the pay periods. So that's the amount spent in each pay period. Mm-hmm. So I guess what I'll do is I'll focus you to the very bottom and just look at the totals for right now. So for FY26, we spent just over $153,000 in shift overtime. And again, for this group and for the public, what does that mean? That means that contractually, I have to keep 5 people on duty at all times. If I have 8 people on a shift, one's out on family medical leave, one's on vacation, and 2 are out sick, now I'm left with 4. I have to hire 1 to bring it up to 5. That's paid for out of that line item in the budget. Mm-hmm. Those columns keep us at 5. I'll pause there, and hopefully that makes sense. No, yeah, that's why I want to make sure people understand this.
So like, I know in the fall, you're going to have 4 people who are going to be out on family medical for presumably like 12 weeks. Will you redo the shifts to make it so that we're not having all 4 from the same? Yes, I think so. And so whenever you have that type of situation, you're like redoing those shifts to make it less likely to.
And on one of the next slides, I'll talk about other control measures we have implemented to help control overtime.
Okay. John, Councilman Markey. You're not even John.
You can call me.
Only in the main council meeting do you have to refer to me. I see that the numbers are trending downwards from 24 to 25 to 26. I see all the overtime.
Yes.
And that's what you really want to talk about. So with all of them, they're all trending downwards, which is a good thing. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So if I may, so to kind
you may. In fact, I see FY 2024 was almost $100,000 more than.
It's quite significant.
26. Yeah.
So again, one of my charges over the years was to stabilize the overtime. And I'll talk more about variables, and we've talked about variables, but one of the significant differences in this past fiscal year that we're looking at right now is we had 8 people per shift. So we got the SAFER grant, staffing for adequate fire emergency response. We added 4 positions. That was added, those 4 positions were added about 3 years ago, now 2.5 years ago. That brought us to 8 people per shift. So now 8 people per shift with a minimum of 5. In December, we're keeping the 8 people per shift, but going up to 6. So you're going to trip overtime a little bit sooner. So that number is going to go up. I'm anticipating projecting that number to go up a little bit, okay, based on that scenario there. But in terms of other controls, I'll get to in a minute. The middle bucket there, training overtime. This is basically when I have to send people to required mandated training that I can't do on duty. The most common one I can share with you is structure fire training. I can't pull my 8 people off shift today and go do structure fire training. I have to take them while they're off duty down to Springfield to the burn building. In the past, and what I plan to do this fall to help minimize that is the academy has mobile props. We've brought them in years past. You may have seen them before. They have a flashover trailer. They have a mobile training unit, a live fire prop. If I can get those, I can get them here. So I can bring half people in on duty, half people on shift, still provide coverage and get the training and mix it up that way to still meet the live fire training. Other example, vehicle extrication training. There's certain things I can't do while they're on duty. That helps cover those costs there. And then the last major columns, that last section on the far right-hand side, that's your EMS callback. So again, they're at 5 people today. So in fact, when I walked over here, there was 2 firefighters in the station because they did a callback. They had 5 people on duty today. All the ambulances were out with the pickup truck. So they had to recall too. And this was one of the things I tried to continually educate the city and the public on is there's a balance. And we tried to remind the public we're not just an ambulance service. We're a fire department and EMS response agency. I don't want to be on the receiving end when a fire comes in like Exeter Street, which is the extreme. I understand that. I don't want to be on the receiving end when an engine's needed and one is not available because there's no one available in the station. So in order to try to find that balance between financial responsibility and maintaining appropriate resources for our all hazard response, that's what the recall's for. So I'll pause there and hopefully help answer questions that people may have.
So thinking about the training one, when you have to have people, obviously that makes a lot of sense. They have to be off duty to do that type of training. Are you able to use like additional floating holidays, or is that not a possibility because of their contract?
Contractual, their collective bargaining agreement doesn't allow me to do that. I can't flex their time.
Is that something that ever has been done, or like has potential to be done, or it's just like not really?
I don't think in emergency services, I don't think that would work. Other questions that I can help explain for this? Okay. So control measures. Again, I always like to hopefully help educate people about with overtime, like what are some driving variables? So the 2 big ones, injuries and filling medical leave. I can't control if people get injured off duty or on duty, and I can't control family medical leave. So it's a federal requirement. So those are the 2 big ones that I just need to manage. If I incur either of those 2 things, it's my responsibility to move people to different shifts or put other controls in place to manage it. I talked about the minimum staffing going up from 5 to 6. That will happen in December. And again, just so people understand, why the 6? We talk a lot about ambulances, right? And we just talked about fire and that balance. So we have 3 ambulances. You legally cannot transport a patient without 2 people in it. So the 6 people on shift gives us the ability to staff all 3 ambulances for those concurrent calls. Or 40% of the time, we have concurrent calls for EMS. So out of the 6, 4 are gone. Now I've got at least 2 to get that engine on the road, responding to a car accident, a fire, whatever it is. So that's contractually the thinking behind why we moved from 5 to 6 and trying to maintain that balance.
So I think I missed something. So, right, let's just pretend it's December, right? And you have 8 people, right? That's EMS and fire
Correct,
all together.
correct.
Oh, it's not like EMS is a separate thing. No,
All
okay.
collective.
Okay, now, okay.
That's why with,
Yeah.
with the callback procedures in place, that's why if we drop down to, if all 3 ambulances are out, this is an extreme. All 3 ambulances are out. Those 6 people who are on shift for the day, because out of the 8, one's on vacation, one's sick. So 2 out of the 8 are gone.
Yeah.
3 ambulances are out. I've got no one in the station.
Right.
I'll recall 2 people while those 3 ambulances are gone to hopefully get 2 people back until those ambulances start coming back. So if a fire call comes in or another medical call, they're going to respond to the medical call in the engine, which is a paramedic engine. Mutual aid would be called and they would provide care until Northampton or Southampton arrived.
I feel so foolish. I thought there was 6 guys just waiting for a fire. Like,
All of our firefighters, all of our EMS are also firefighters. Is that true?
Everyone is cross-trained.
So they're also firefighters.
Yes, everyone's cross-trained. So we talked about management and control measures. So what are we doing over this time? So we have that training officer position. We use that training officer position, which is a captain, for shift coverage Monday through Friday. In the event a captain or soon to be a lieutenant is out, instead of hiring overtime, that training captain slides over and covers the shift for that day tour, negating the need to hire overtime. I looked at the numbers just today. This past fiscal year, that training officer covered 240 hours of shift coverage that we didn't hire overtime for. So that's, yes.
So starting soon, that would be only if the captain and the
You got
lieutenant,
it.
is that right?
You got it.
Okay.
Yep. So we still, when we negotiated it, we now have the ability to stabilize overtime within the officer ranks. No more as a captain for captain. If the captain's on vacation, the lieutenant runs a shift. If the lieutenant is out sick and the captain's on vacation and it's Monday through Friday when the train officer is scheduled, he'll slide over and he'll cover the shift for the day, not having to hire overtime. So we still have that control measure in place. Personnel not sent to recruit training academy during summer months. So I have one person right now. He just completed his paramedic training. He now needs to go to the 10-week fire academy training in Springfield. I'm delaying him because now we're into the peak vacation months, July, August, and September. I'm gonna send him for the initial screening in December. He'll go to the academy during the winter months in January, February, and March. And again, those are my low vacation periods. So I shouldn't be dropping as low on my shifts that time. So we manage it that way. Training for shift personnel are limited to on-duty training during the summer months. We're not sending people to Springfield or other classes. It's just the training they get while they're on duty, already being paid by the city. And then I talked about the lieutenant positions being implemented and the negated need for captain. And then we negotiated the West Hampton response combat callbacks out of the contract. That goes into effect when we go up to 6. So even though it may trip, they shift over time more. Right now, if they go to West Hampton, they immediately call 2 people for callback. That was negotiated in the contract before I got here. We negotiated that out of the contract in exchange for going to 6. So we're going to save a little bit of money in overtime on that. So that was put into effect as well. So I just want people to understand, number one, we track overtime very diligently. Number 2, we're putting these control measures in place and we're continuing to watch everything for that. FIFA.
I saw you a couple times.
Yep. So this was for fire EMS operations down there. It went very well. I wanted just to give this group a quick brief overview. So what we did is we staffed up for the 3 watch parties. We didn't do the music festivals and all that based on the potential for larger crowds at these events. So on 6/19, myself, the deputy, and 9 volunteers worked 70 hours collectively, and that had a 0 additional cost to the city. On 6/26, myself, the deputy, and 10 volunteers worked a collective 50 hours. That was a day, there was a good rainstorm that day. That was a additional zero cost to the city. On 6/29, myself, the deputy, and 8 volunteers worked a collective 64 hours, and that was zero additional cost to the city. All the closeout reports were submitted to the mayor's office for any grant closeouts that they needed to do for the state. The Thunder in the Valley fireworks, it was a busy weekend. Myself, the deputy, our fire prevention captain, based on the fireworks display, and 12 volunteers, we worked a collective 184 hours at a zero additional cost for that event. And we did have a detail there of 1 ambulance and 4 firefighter paramedics on the scene the entire time. That detail amount was charged to the event organizers. And then my final little note there, sir, the Community Emergency Response Team and the Medical Reserve Corps, I can't express enough, number one, my thanks on behalf of our organization, the city, for the resources they provided for all these events I just mentioned. They're all volunteers. They're a huge asset. They helped us staff the medical tents at all those events I just mentioned. And certainly when you look at these events, the biggest fear for me always is, we talk about variables, is the environmental conditions. It's hard to know up until a couple days, is it going to be 90 degrees in the shade, or is it going to be overcast and there's no issues? Because that really will dictate the demand placed on EMS services, transport, dehydration, heat exhaustion, the list goes on. So we monitored the weather. This year I got plugged into the National Weather Service. They gave us, they called my cell phone hourly, basically, giving us weather updates. I relayed those to the mayor for those 3 events for FIFA. And then they also updated me for Thunder in the Valley, so it worked out well. The weather rained, but no one got hurt, is my takeaway. At the FIFA watch parties, it was valuable for us being there. We had no transports, but we did have a number of bumps and bruises, particularly for minors, just out playing, being kids. And then for Thunder in the Valley, we had a number of patient contacts, nothing significant, and no transports at well. So that is kind of what I want to share with this group and the community in terms of fire and EMS for those significant events over the last couple of weeks.
So you guys all volunteered your time? That's amazing.
Just to be clear, we could flex our time. So to your point, the deputy and I flexed our time.
Okay.
The volunteers, the CERT and Medical Reserve Corps, so those 9 volunteers, 10 volunteers, 8 volunteers, they were there during those hours that you guys all saw. And if you went back to the pictures, and don't, but that fire on Exeter Street, the Easthampton Community Emergency Response Team, they are on our run card. I talk about run cards for the fire department. If we go to a second alarm, it's going to be a prolonged event. We call the person in charge of the Community Emergency Response Team. They came to that fire. They help provide rehab. They help fill in air cylinders. They help clean up. They help scene safety. I cannot express enough the resource and value that the Easthampton CERT team and the Medical Reserve Corps, which is like a county-wide group, having that relationship and what they provided over these couple of weeks to help support and augment our resources to minimize that financial impact on the city, it's right there. It's right there. Questions on that? And then finally, just a couple initiatives and some miscellaneous things. Open house. We have an open house a week from tonight. July 14th, 6:30 to 8:30. We'll have free ice cream from Mount Tom's. We'll have a dunk tank there. Our apparatus. It's always a good time, so hopefully people will come out for that. The annual service and all equipment. This is something I'm extremely passionate about. I've talked about this in the past. In order to keep all this emergency equipment and vehicles in a state of operational readiness to be used in an emergency, you have to maintain that equipment. We completed all the annual service over the last 45 days. Everything is running perfectly right now. Everything's in service, and it's good for the next year. And I talk about that many times in budget hearings with the finance committee and city council as well. The installation of the repeater on the Hoyoke Gas and Electric Tower is completed. So now communications, again, I've spoken to this group, is challenging with portable radios based on the topography here in Easthampton. So right now we run just off of the tower behind the public safety complex building. It doesn't work very well. It becomes a safety issue, and I don't use that term lightly. So by getting to a higher elevation, we're able to hopefully get an improvement. We haven't tested it yet, but the installation of the repeater is now up there. They're going to come and program our portable radios over the next week or two, and then we'll be able to test it and put it into operation. So I'm excited about that. The next bullet, this is another one I'm happy about this one, is the installation of the handicap access. Again, I've shared with the city council before. It was brought to my attention at a council on aging event. Someone was talking about how a non-ambulatory person was mentioning we have the ramp, but there was no push button. And shame on me, at that time, I never had realized it. And so we went back and looked, and the building obviously was built to code back in the late 90s, but they did not require the push buttons. Well, those doors in the front of the public safety complex, they're big, they're cumbersome, and they're heavy. So it was more than difficult for people to open those. So Greg Nuttman was phenomenal helping coordinate and organize this. The Council on Aging Center helped advocate for this as well, and we got that project done a little over a week ago, and those are fully functioning now and a great addition to this community. And then the last thing is we're working on just a community paramedic program. What does that mean? We always look at different data points. One of the things for EMS is 20% of our calls typically are slips, falls, and lift assists. So what we're doing, I mentioned earlier, we have 2 people on light duty. I have them going through, looking at that 20% of the calls, making a separate spreadsheet. We're going to then reach out to those individuals and see if they want home visits, see if we can kind of drill down into the root cause of why they fell. Was it a throw rug, an extension cord? Was it maybe a grab handle that they needed in their bathroom or whatever? And we'll work with them to hopefully minimize those calls from coming in and make them safer in their homes. So we're working on that as well. We're using those light duty positions to help initiate that.
Do you hope to work with the Council on Aging?
We already are with that. Yep. So.
2 things. Open house, have a dunk tank. I think Councilor Jamrod McQuaid, I heard he likes dunk tanks. And the second thing, which is adjacent to fire department, but it's not exactly. I remember in late February, early March, we had interviewed for dispatch director for the, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Right. And I know that they withdrew their name because of budgetary concerns and stuff. Do you know if that's going to be something happening in the future again, or?
My understanding is right now, I think they're waiting to maybe get through the summer months again and most likely repost and advertise that position, go through the process again. But I don't want to speak out of term for the mayor, but that's my understanding is they'll probably get through the summer months where you'll get a greater response to a posting in the fall time than when people may be away on vacations and things like that.
Okay.
Is there anything you need from us?
No, thank you for asking. No, as you all have gotten to know me, I enjoy these. I like doing the updates. I'm sorry. Hope I'm not too long-winded at times. But I think, again, sincerely, I think it's important as people continue to better understand what we do, why we do it, and what we need for resources to meet that demand. I will talk before anyone, anywhere, anytime. There's no hidden secrets, and I like explaining this stuff. So
we really appreciate you coming and being so prepared with so much information for us, and making it so clear and understandable to both us and the public. I think it's very helpful, especially when we're having these types of budget conversations and everything. It makes it so much easier to defend why we need all of these things and you're doing as much as you possibly can to keep costs under control and provide the best services. So, really wonderful. And we're also at least I'm pretty sure I speak for everyone, continue to be so impressed with the kind of work that you're doing for our city. It really is see your passion and how much it's more than just a day job to you. And we're very, very, very fortunate to have you.
You're only as good as the people underneath you, and the people in the department are incredible.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm very lucky to work for the city and work for the people I have in the department. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
No, we're so thrilled to have you. So thankful. It's always fun to have you visit too.
Yes. Is there any other questions I didn't answer?
Did I say anything? No.
Okay. Thank you for
so
everything.
much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
You too. Great. So I'm sharing this video. Okay. All right. Great. And I'm gonna unpin this. Great. All right, so our next order of business is the review of traffic rules and orders to add, amend, or remove language such as absent, inconsistent, etc. Yes, Councilor.
I would propose, since this is somewhat of a time-consuming thing and we're running late, that we maybe schedule another meeting to tackle this agenda item.
I think that's a great idea. How do you feel?
And I figured we would mostly focus on e-bikes as a
Yes.
more pressing matter.
Yes.
I pick this up next one.
Definitely. And then I know this is on our, I guess, continuing ongoing business. We really didn't get to talk about this much at our last meeting because of the forum that we all went to, right?
Yeah.
But the request for installation of a stop sign on Brook Street at Hendrick Street.
This wasn't on the last meeting.
It was not on the list, so it should be under new business.
It should be.
Okay. There was one.
I put in this action request and it was sent to our committee last meeting or the meeting before, but we haven't had a meeting since this item came up.
Should we plan to talk about it at our next meeting and work on the e-bike ordinance right now? Is that okay with everybody? Or do you want to talk about it now?
I'm okay either way because I'm the one who put in the action
Yeah.
request. So I did hear back from Greg Nettleman
Okay.
about this. I did not hear from Chief Alexander, though I spoke to him a little bit about it in person. It is we can describe the area and what's going on there real quick. If we want to go ahead and push it off to another meeting, that's fine. But it's a street that joins Hendricks, right? Near where Plain
Yeah.
joins Hendricks. It does not have a stop sign. Do people stop at it? Probably because you're going into Hendricks and there's
Yeah.
no point. There's just simply no stop sign at the end of Brook Street. So
And there's no. I grew up on Plain Street, so I know that area pretty well. Plain also, Hendrick doesn't have a stop sign either. You can just go straight onto Plain, or you can wrap around straight. But Plain Street is the only one that has.
Plain has I can try that.
Yeah, I know it. I
You know what I'm talking about,
Exactly.
right?
It's like this and this, and then it's like this, right?
Look,
This is
almost,
Plain,
not quite. It's more like this, like the Plain, and this is Hendricks. This is like Plain, Brook. They're near each
Yeah.
other, but there's no actual stop sign. And I had a couple folks that live on Brook Street say, hey, do you think we can get a stop sign there? I don't know if any accidents have happened there, but I've heard through another person there's been a few near misses at least. So I just figured the stop sign belongs there. That's pretty much all I have on that.
And you talked to the chief about it?
I have not talked to the chief. I talked to the DPW and he said, yeah, it makes sense to have a stop sign there. I haven't pulled any accident reports or anything for the area. I can, if you'd like, I can follow up again with Chief Alexander, see if he has any additional information to add to that, and we can take care of it at a later date. It's fine with me.
But it was some residents that came to you about it?
Yes.
All right, well, I can keep getting the information and then we can talk about it. It's ready. Good. Right, so are there any other roadway or pedestrian safety or infrastructure items that we want to raise now before we move on to the e-bike?
Yes, I want to read an email. I caught a Facebook thread about complaining about Union Street, Cottage Street, like a lot of folks do. So, somebody sent me a speeding map. Let me see.
Yes, I got that.
Did you get an email?
Well, I got it. I thought it might be from a company or whatnot. Did you get
It was it from Amy?
No, it wasn't from a resident.
Okay,
So it's probably.
we'll just read their email really quickly because I said I would. Hi Nathan, I'm very concerned about how dangerous and lawless it's become to drive through downtown Easthampton. I'm talking about Cottage and Union Streets. On one occasion, I was driving north on Union Street, had to jam my foot on the brakes twice in order to avoid collisions with cars shooting out into the road unexpectedly without sufficient clearance. On another occasion, a car actually passed me on Cottage Street over the double yellow line. I was going about 25 miles an hour, which is the speed limit. And that includes more than one crosswalk that they sped around. On the third, most recent occasion, I was driving south on Union Street at the intersection when the first car in left turn lane about to turn onto Cottage Street when a car immediately to the right drove in front of me and around me and made the left turn themselves. I remember coming with a group of people before COVID to a public safety meeting, discuss the crosswalk situation with them. It seems that some improvements have been made in terms of visibility, but I believe that pedestrians on Cottage and Union Street are still in great danger, as well as cyclists, because of both behavior and overwhelming distractions caused by aggressive drivers and crowded roads on Cottage Street downtown. I paraphrased part of it, but essentially, and it wasn't her. There was a lot of people that kind of followed up on the thread. I tell people to email me so I can have it in public record. So if there's any like records requests and stuff, because I don't think that social media is necessarily a good place to talk about any legislations or any actions we might take, especially since, you know, there's a lot of opinions and it's a public forum and stuff, and some people are well informed, others are misinformed, etc. There's just a lot of opinions, but I don't know what to do about the traffic and pedestrian safety on Union Street, but I'm gonna keep thinking about it.
I can email Chief Alexander because I know at one of his presentations, do you remember this? He mentioned having the safety or the patrol officer being on Cottage Street more frequently, right, for traffic. And I mean, Union Street and Cottage Street are right next to each other, so we should probably check back on where that stands, because that was something he said he was gonna do, and I don't know if that is happening yet.
I mean, I'm certainly not one to dictate how the police department does their job. Obviously, I'm not the chief and I don't have any background in law enforcement or traffic regulations whatsoever. But I do think that having further conversations with Chief Alexander about either having a beat cop or a bicyclist cop or somebody downtown on busy nights like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for 3 or 4 hours would still be a good idea, rather even if they sit in the patrol car right there on in front of the brass cat at that thing. Or
I think it's fair for us to ask him because he did offer that as something that he was hoping to do, to kind of help with some of this pedestrian traffic and car traffic and cutoffs and all that kind of stuff, because they are confusing kind of streets and tight streets. And this intersection here especially is it's difficult, right? Like it's a hard intersection. And then I think we should also follow up with Director Nadelman about the bump outs, because
I don't
as far as
see
I know,
them
they have not been installed, and I think that was supposed to happen in the spring. Is that
In
what you
the-
guys recall?
Local light paths, I don't remember a specific timeline on it. I don't either. And associated with that.
There was a grant, but I think that the grant was received when he announced it to us. It had already been received. And now I'm remembering that possibly that was not going to happen until the fall 27.
You might have mentioned
I think
that.
originally he had told us spring, and then I think it has moved to fall. So I can follow up and check with that.
I'm just gonna, now that budget season is behind us, actually submit that action request to have a similar conversation about East Street that was had last year about West Street. But honestly, I feel like it's a part of a bigger conversation that you're kind of bringing up as well, in terms of, you know, especially pedestrian and biking safety, as the rail trail becomes, you know, increasingly a destination for people, and as people then seek to walk and bike off of the rail trail into our community as we want them to, it's really important that they feel safe, or else they're not going to come back to do that again. And you know, this is all part of a bit of a, not quite triangle of sorts, but when you think about where the bike path is in relation to East Street, especially the end of East Street heading towards, you know, Northampton, and how that connects with Union Street, and then how Cottage Street and Holyoke kind of connect that. This whole thing seems
I know.
like a bigger conversation.
Was the email? I didn't quite understand what you're saying. Did it say that they've experienced people jutting out from the bike path or from?
I think they're complaining more about traffic, people in cars, or there's just maybe some low visibility in certain areas of Union Street, or just people have road rage. I mean, they just do, and I think they were just complaining about.
I think some parts of Union Street that are hard is like the 7-Eleven and the like mini mall across the street from that, because there's like no single driveway. It's just like pure,
It is.
like come and go as you feel like it without arrows and stuff. But I don't know what can be done about that.
I just want to add to Councilor Schmidt's point that from my perspective, I think the East Street would be easier thing to tackle because it's not as urban stuff. And I do think with fog lines and a couple radar signs, whatever they're called, stuff periodically placed down there. And if the officers sometimes rotate shifts in the morning, their speeding's a big problem.
It's a big problem. And of course, the officers are great if they're there at the right time. I was mowing my lawn with the officer across the street. He left, and like not more than 30 seconds later, some person came, you know,
Right.
barreling down the way.
Get all your
That's important.
tickets for the year.
Well, actually, speaking of like following up with both Chief Alexander and Director Nadelman, why don't I also invite them to come together so that we can have the conversation with them both here rather than having to like follow up with one and then the other back and forth and back and forth.
Talk about this
Yeah.
specifically.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
If they're available? And then the East Street one. Start
Yeah, so last time, I just want to confirm, y'all want me to put you on the action request?
Yes.
I said already East Street and I wrote Easthampton. Okay. Right. So now let's move to the action request for the e-bank ordinance. So I think I'm going to share my screen here, if that's okay. Let's see. Okay. Why is it so blurry?
Oh my.
Is it getting any
That's
better?
better, that's better.
Oh wait, it's like fixed for a second. Okay. Is that okay, you think? All right, so all right, so let me, you guys are on this one too, so we can look at it together. Okay, here's what I did. I went through this bill, right, that was proposed. This is one that one of the residents, Alex, told us about the last time we were able to talk about the e-bike ordinance, which I think was back in May. So I went through this really carefully so that we could try to match our language with this language. So this bill has not been passed yet, but hopefully it will be. But I think that our e-bike ordinance would be hopefully passed before this. So it makes sense to match it and to have our e-bike ordinance until this gets passed. Does everyone follow that so far?
Say that one more time.
Say it again.
Okay. So I went to the bill that has been put forth, and I took language from here and changed our e-bike ordinance, the draft that we're working on, to match language from here. So that even though this hasn't passed yet, and our thing will probably pass before this, and there may be a year or more in between, at least they will match up for when this part does pass. Does that make sense? Okay, so as Alex had mentioned, this really does seem to cover most of the issues. There was one piece that I need help with because I'm like just not quite sure about it. So it seems that, make sure I have my thoughts right. There are both like speed tiers now that they're adding in. So there's like speed 0, which is like regular bikes, like non-powered bikes, and class 1 and 2 e-bikes. Then there is, so that's speed tier 0. Then there's speed tier 1, which would be the class 3 e-bikes, which are actually now just e-bikes that go up to 30 miles per hour. These are not the kind that we're talking about, I believe. Tier 2 and 3, speed tier 2 and 3 are the ones that we're trying to talk about. So they've like redone the way things are explained. So like class 3 e-bike is still just an e-bike. It's a tier 1 micromobility device. Tier 0 micromobility devices are class 1 and 2 e-bikes, plus like all non-motorized things that go up to 20 miles per hour.
Okay.
It's very confusing. And then, so we're not trying, I believe, to regulate class 3 e-bikes because the definition for class 3 e-bike has been defined and it's now a tier 1 speed thing. I think, based on what I'm understanding from this, we're trying to regulate, and which is already going to be regulated in this bill, having tier 2 and 3 micro mobility device, motorized ones, having those on our bike paths and sideway walks and our trails and things like that. Yes.
So I wish I had a diagram.
I'm following.
If you look at my thing, I think I have it, but I don't know if I have it for certain. And
Perfect. Okay, let me see.
I don't know if this is permitted, but would you be willing for us to ask Alex if I'm getting this right or not?
I don't think we can do that.
We cannot do
unfortunately.
that. Okay, sorry.
You mean ask? Oh, yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah, it's okay. We
you
can't
can
do that.
have a conversation with people that are knowledgeable on the issue, but they can't write the ordinance.
No, I know they can't. I'm just wondering. I just want to make sure.
For the sake of the meeting, we're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have class and we have tier.
Yes.
Okay.
So tier 0
Yeah.
includes all like non-motorized micro mobility devices. And I put in the definition of a micro mobility device: a small, lightweight transportation device intended for personal use as an alternative to motor vehicles for travel in public access areas, including ways, bikeways, or sidewalks. So that includes like little scooter thingies, like the Razor scooters or whatever kind they are now that kids do ride on, tricycles, bicycles, all that kind of stuff, right? Then you have the powered micro mobility devices, and those have speed tiers of 1 through 3.
Okay.
So speed tier 1 is the class 3 e-bike. Speed tier 0 includes regular electric bikes, class 1 and 2. I think I can draw something. Does that make sense? Let me just write it out for you guys. It's in the, I'll share this too.
I'm looking at what you got.
Are you looking at this thing too? If you just type in Bill S3077, you can get it.
We've got the e-bike ordinance too.
Yeah. So you've got like tier 0. These are the speed tiers. So there's like speed tiers and then e-bicycle classes.
Okay.
So speed tier 0 is like all non-motorized.
Skateboards.
There's
Yeah.
overlap between.
Yes.
Okay. I
So
think that's the same.
non-motorized, I know, me too, devices is tier 0 and class 1 and 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Speed tier 3.
And then speed tier 1 is class 3 e-bikes.
Okay.
And these are the ones that can go up to 28. And then tier 2 and tier 3 is devices that can go 31 to 40 and 40 plus.
Okay.
So these guys are really like, we're kind of counting them more like this. So we're not trying to regulate this guy. And we're not trying to regulate this guy from being on the bike path. It's these guys I think we're trying to regulate.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
If you invite an expert to the meeting and put it on the agenda, you could probably ask Alex whatever questions you want if it's on the agenda.
Okay.
I believe. Like, Chief Norris is our fire department expert.
Right.
police and stuff like that. I don't think that there's anything keeping you from putting certain people on the agenda if you want to question them.
Okay. Sounds good.
Definitely still happy to look through this.
Oh yeah, I think we should definitely look through it. And we can also be researching.
Can I see that again?
I think that's how I have it.
Is that a Venn diagram?
I'd be curious for confirmation as well from like the police department and sort of which ones they perceive as being a challenge that they're encountering currently. 20 miles an hour feels like fast speed for a sidewalk, you know? And so
Well, I think that like people who ride bikes professionally.
we're talking about folks just like using it for transportation.
Are they even supposed to be on the sidewalk period? Even regular bikes.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I guess so like a road bike, you know, someone who's like sort of fast
Mm.
goes 18 to 20. An amateur race, like professionals are like 25 to 28.
Okay.
And can hit 35 to 44 in final sprints without any type of like, so I think 20 is actually not that fast.
I
Or,
mean, you know, I'm just imagining, you know, those are professionals.
yeah,
Here you have a device that's allowing everybody to kind of like hit the speed of a professional, which is probably not what people are expecting to encounter on the bike path. But again, you know, I'm not, to your point, like we're not the professionals within the industry who are like actually engaging with this. And so I'm just curious what they think is.
so if you look over here at the bill, right, and I wish I had the ability to highlight this. I guess if I had got a PDF version. It does then say it shall be no. Okay, so speed tier 0 is afforded all the rights and privileges. Yeah, and speed tier 1, which is the class 3 now. They can all have the rights and privileges of a regular electric bicycle operator, right? But then it's unlawful for any tier 2 or 3 micromobility device to travel on sidewalks, bike lanes, bike paths, bike routes separated. So what the state is saying is that they're going to ban essentially the tier 2 and 3 from the things that places where we're also looking to have a ban. So I thought that what we wanted to do was match their ban. Is that not what we want to do?
That makes sense to me.
Yes. So they're not banning the tier 1 or tier 0.
Has their act been implemented yet?
No, that's the point, is that it has not. So if you recall at our last meeting, this is when Alex had said to us, look, there's this new bill that has just been introduced. It had like passed one section. I think maybe the House, I don't remember, I'm sorry. The day before actually our meeting. So we
Got
hadn't
out
had a
of
chance.
committee.
Yeah, we hadn't had a chance to look at that. So this is that bill. And we had talked about how we were going to, because there was this thing happening in the state that that seemed like it had a good possibility of eventually passing, right? That we were going to try to match that instead of coming up with our own.
Okay. I guess I have another question. Since it hasn't become law,
Right.
it's incumbent upon us to do it now.
That's what I thought was at the time,
Right,
right?
but if it became law, would this be mute? We would just have a city council ordinance just saying we're going to adopt the safe act, right?
Yeah.
We would just be adopting the language of the SAFE Act.
Well, this is the act to enhance the safe use of micro-mobility devices.
What's that?
I'm just correcting the name of the bill.
What's the name of it?
An act to enhance the safe use of micro-mobility devices.
Okay, but they're calling this SAFE Act, right?
No, that's a different act.
Different thing, I think.
That's a whole different act.
They're referring to a meeting. What were they calling that?
That was the ICE thing.
Nice thing. Regarding, okay. well,
Anyway, I don't think we've really discussed this at all, really, very much, except having it sent to committee at the full council meeting.
Right.
So basically, for everybody out there,
This is the Ride Safe Act.
Ride
Ride
Safe.
Safe Act, that's it. Okay, the Ride Safe
not
Act.
to be confused with safe routes to school.
Thank you. But okay, so we're trying to get ahead of the legislation, right?
Yeah.
Here in Easthampton.
Basically, what's happening is we have people on these high-powered
I see them.
bikes that are closer to motorcycles than to bikes.
I see 7-year-olds on them.
Very young children on them, and they are riding anywhere and everywhere.
I see them.
Both roads, sidewalks, bike path. We've also have situations. We heard from Director Mason at the park that people are riding in fields and tearing up the fields, places like that. And there is no regulation right now on the use of those. These are relatively new types of bikes, right? And so there is concern about that, and there has been put forward something so that we can regulate that now, knowing that possibly, likely the state will pass something, but not knowing the timeline for that.
Yeah.
And knowing that this is a problem now,
Right.
and it's a safety issue.
I knew all of that. It was just, I was just wondering where the legislation was in the House and Senate in Massachusetts. But yes, it's incumbent upon us. I agree. It's incumbent upon us to get ahead of it, because who knows if we'll ever make it out. Most likely it will, but
who knows how long.
who knows? Things go to die in committee sometimes there.
What are you looking at, Jonathan?
The ordinance and your edits.
So that brings me to another concern.
Yes.
The Ride Safe Act, which you've been trying to modify the language in our ordinance by the language they have in the Ride Safe Act.
Yes.
That language that they're using currently, that you're lifting
Yes.
some off, could change entirely.
It could change. That's correct.
They could get that whole thing, rearrange it, and slap a different number on it.
But by using the language that is in there, at least we know we're using language that has been researched and people have been working on this, and it's not just our own made up language. It has stuff behind it, even if it does get adjusted. There are a lot of professionals who have worked on that language that know a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like that is the most responsible thing to do.
I agree.
Because I think that we have the concept, right, of what we're hoping to accomplish with the ordinance. But now we have to make sure that we are saying it in a way that,
So I know that you've been primarily working on,
I've been working on updating the document because
somebody has to do.
somebody has to do it and we can't have all three of us working on it at the same time. But
Right.
so one thing that we have to do as a group in the open meeting is to go through the things that I have modified and included
Yes.
and see like, does each one of those make sense or should it be something else or not included at all? So that's why I've been working on it independently so that we can get to a place where we can decide like, are these the correct edits and work together, right?
How do you feel about it so far?
Like I said, I feel like it needs more eyes for sure.
Okay.
Even looking at it now, I'm still a little bit confused myself about the difference between e-motos and speed tier 2 and speed tier 3
Okay.
electric powered micro mobility devices. Because if you go back to the bill toward the top, they take time to describe in the part that's section 6. It's striking the definition of motorized bicycle.
Section 6 in the ordinance or in the
Oh, sorry, in the bill.
Right Safe Act? I don't have that.
Yeah.
For
S3077.
Yeah.
it.
Just Google
S
S.3077.
3077. Right Safe Manual. I got it. Got it.
You see section 6 there, Jonathan?
Text.
And it defines motorized bicycle or moped.
Motorized bicycle. Or moped. Yep. I'm very familiar with the 50cc.
So I guess now that I'm rereading this, I'm thinking that if you go over to our
Ordinance.
e-bike ordinance, I don't think we actually wanted to say electric motorized bicycles. So that's actually not a thing.
Hmm.
It's speed tier 2 and speed tier 3 electric powered micro mobility devices.
And you took that out of, I'm looking micro small lightweight.
Remember the last time we had changed it to electric motorized bicycles, e-motos?
E-motos.
I think we want that anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Motorized bicycle or moped. Striking out the definition.
Because they're saying that the new definition is that these motorized bicycles do not include electric bicycles. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Am I right? Am I reading that correctly? So we don't want to use the word motorized bicycle.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take this part out, right?
Motorized bicycle shall not include an electric bicycle, which means the electric bicycles an assist, right? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah. But more importantly, an electric bicycle is speed tier 0 or 1. Got it?
50 cc's or the equivalent. 50 cc's, they go fast. They go 60 miles an hour.
But they're saying that it does not exceed 30 miles per hour.
They're saying that it doesn't.
The speed tier
Yeah.
1.
No, if you look under what they were saying, a motorcycle bicycle is capable of a maximum speed of no more than 30 miles per hour. It doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about motorized bicycles because those are not the same as. Now I'm not sure.
They're not the same as what?
But they are. They couldn't be electric powered. Like it doesn't. This is. You get what I'm concerned about the overlap?
I'm gonna print out the ordinance. I've like printed words.
Yeah,
because
do
I
you
don't
mind
have to
doing that so I
scroll.
don't have to switch back and forth?
Yeah, I'm gonna print out both of the.
What's tough about their bill too is it's referring to something else that already exists.
I know.
And
Look
so
at the
we're
bill
trying to like
history.
make sense of a bigger thing.
Look at similar bills. S3168. There we go. Okay, S3168. It's the same. Just like for the picture, we like this, we don't like that. The end.
Oh, that's chapter.
Similar bills. Okay.
In terms of just a second set of eyes, if I may, on your first page, under the definition of speed tier 2, we have any powered micromobility device with maximum manufacturer assisted or design speed, whichever is higher, greater between 31 miles per hour. I guess that word greater is just extraneous.
Let me grab it and see what stuff on there. Yeah, you're right. One of those words should not be there. Now, which is it? I think greater, probably. You're right.
Oh, but I see, and then the next one, greater than 40 miles per hour. So I think I see how that's snuck in there.
Yeah.
So in tier 3, I think greater probably needs to remain. But in speed tier 2, it could come out.
Yes. Okay.
So you're recommending. So you're recommending doing away with the definition of e-moto?
Oh, I already deleted it accidentally.
No, it's there. Beginning of page 2.
Yeah, that's the one of them. I'm wondering, is that necessary? Or is it, or should we have it?
Is
I mean, we could include it.
tier 1 and tier 3, do those things cover what we would define as e-moto already?
Speed tier 2 and speed tier 3 or anything over an e-moto. An e-moto is not an electric, so maybe we should. That's where I'm confused.
Okay.
Yes.
I think one of the key distinctions here perhaps is, or at least for me, like I've only been thinking of this as bikes powered by batteries.
Right.
But in some of these cases, a motorized bicycle could just straight up have a motor on it,
Mhm.
like a combustion engine on
Yeah.
it. And so that needs to be more broadly defined. And then you have e-bikes, which are strictly powered by battery.
Yes, but if you look at under the definition of electric motorized, no, if you look at try to find it here. That's the section 6.1. So a motorized bicycle or a moped can also be an electric powered or hybrid.
That are equivalent to this particular
Engine capacity.
engine capacity.
But they're also not motorized. They're not electric bicycles, even though they could have an electric powered motor. So how are they not electric? How do they differ from electric bicycles? That is what I do not know.
Well, one's gas and the other's not,
No, but they're saying that it can be electric powered.
or the equivalent of electric power.
So it can be a gas, like with a 50
CC.
yeah, or diesel or whatever it is. Or it could also be a hybrid with that equivalent. Or it could also be a pure electric with that equivalent. But somehow all of those things are different than an electric bicycle.
Right.
Even though there is only a 2 mile per hour gap between the highest e-bike and this. So I guess it's the ones that go from 29 to 30 are the mopeds, electric mopeds, or e-motos, or the, so then that's the question. Do we include the e-motos, which are the ones that are, well, they're essentially the ones that go 29 to 30, because anything under 29 is going to be a class 3 and is therefore not a motorized bike, because if it's a class 3, then it's not a motorized bike. So the only electric thing that can be a motorized bike is something that's going between 29 and 30. Is that, am I
Which
getting
is
that correct?
absolutely crazy, because here it says class 3 e-bikes, this is in the bill, electric bicycle or tricycle equipped with a motor. Oh, that's not a motorized e-bike.
But a class 3 only goes up to 28.
Agreed.
So it's the e-moto is the 29, the ones that go 29 or 30, which probably don't exist.
Our goal is, like, our broad goal, very simplistically put, is we don't want any unassisted motorized vehicles going on public roadways, etc., that go over 20 miles an hour without regulations around them, correct?
Or 28 miles an hour.
Or 28, I was 20 at one
Or
point.
30.
Or 30, I mean,
I think that they may have just left a little gap in the numbers.
yes, just because it can vary.
Well, no, I was thinking just as, I mean, that seems like a weird oversight, but you're right, it's like 29 and
They're
30
missing
is
2
not-
miles, right?
What number do we want to go with? I thought it was 20.
Well, that's the question. So if we include e-moto and use the definition of e-moto as just the electric version of their moped, essentially, right?
Mhm.
Then we would be covering that 28, 29 and above. If we just go with speed tier 2 and 3, then we would be capturing 31 and above. So in order to capture from 28 and above, we have to include the e-moto part as well.
Okay,
But it sounds ridiculous. But is that what we want to do?
that's, like, I thought originally we were thinking like 20 miles an hour, it's too fast.
So I don't think that we can go with
Below that.
below that because, well, because like the goal under this Massachusetts one is that they're allowing speed tier 1, which is the 21 to 30, which includes the class 3 e-bike. They're allowing those to have the same rights as a regular bicycle. Does that make
I
sense?
disagree with them, but okay.
So I don't know, can we disagree with them? I don't know.
Yes, we can disagree with them.
Yes.
I think as this conversation has gone on, I kind of changed my initial stance of going up to the 28 miles an hour, because we're talking about folks that are using this as a means of transport to commute to work, and going less than 20 miles an hour to get to work feels excruciating and not probably feasible for anybody that needs to work outside of Easthampton. And so I think in terms of what the advocacy that we've heard as it relates to this conversation, I think we're right that 28 and below, that would be permissible on the bike path. It is within the realm of what a bike can do, even
Right.
if you would have to be a professional to like get there on your own. But anything beyond that is just like beyond what a normal bike would ever.
It's a loss. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm almost inclined to just like choose our own numbers a little. Like I wouldn't go too far astray, but like
I almost want to go shopping, like go shop for one online and see what their capacity says for actual model.
Well, you see, if we keep speed tier 2 and speed tier 3 and the e-moto, then we would be covering 28 and above.
That they can't go in the bike path,
Right.
sidewalks.
Right. Although it would sound kind of ridiculous, we would be covering it at least. Look at it.
And 7-year-olds, there wouldn't be gangs of 7-year-olds driving everywhere with them.
Right.
I want to. I guess I'm going to lose their future vote, but that's okay.
Well, that is the goal, right? Is to keep the
Yes,
children off
that's
of these.
it's the kids like flying everywhere on these things. And
Yeah.
a whole other number.
uh,
Reading the bill as it currently, or the law as it currently exists, and as far as motorized bicycles are concerned, they cannot be ridden by in excess of 25 miles an hour
Motorized bicycles?
by the current regulations.
Are they? Do they
unassisted.
mean electric bicycles or motorized bicycles?
Probably
Because they're two
unclear
different
because the
things.
definitions need to be updated. So
We're talking about unassisted. Yes. Is-
No.
I could drive 25 miles an hour on a regular bicycle.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. No, but you said it says motorized bicycles.
but again, I'm looking at the existing law,
Yeah.
which we should not be going by. I'm just saying, I was just pointing it out because it was funny that there's a totally different number there.
Well, I think the classes are actually real things that the manufacturers have to abide by.
Okay.
Okay.
So like,
Whatever it's worth, I think your electric bicycle e-bike definitions seem spot on.
Oh. Alex sent us an email.
oh, we did? Oh, good.
He must have tuned in.
I mean, he's in the thing. I'm sorry, Alex, that we can't let you talk. I think you can read the email out loud.
It's a document.
Oh.
I'll read it at some point. But, oh, well, he has all the tiers there. Tier 0 up to 20. Tier 1, 21 to 30. Tier 2, 31 to 40.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, right?
Oh, he has all sorts of things on this. Oh, he even has the types of bikes that do all this. Dude, this is a very handy document you just sent us.
Yes.
So I think at the very least, we could reliably move forward with tier 2 and tier 3 language
Yes.
that is restricting the use of those devices.
Correct.
And then it's really just a matter of figuring out where the line is for tier 1 and which definitions we want to include that are relevant to that.
So the line for tier 1 is the 30. So, and
No,
it
I meant, sorry, what I meant was like the line that we're trying to draw in
Right.
terms of what is affected by the ordinance. It might just be none of tier 1. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I think we could reliably move forward by like focusing on those
Yeah.
2 things and then circle back around to.
I think we have it correct in here, and I think that we just need to decide, like you said, whether we're going to add those e-motos that are above 28 but under 31. That's the only thing that we have to decide on the bike, so we can easily add that in, because I think what I have here is correct, right? And that would cover that from 28 to 30.
Yeah.
So then the next thing we have to talk about is the rules. Is that what you're thinking too?
I think so, yeah. Like if we focus on the rules, we can make progress on that, and then any remaining questions could be answered with experts in the room. If that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's look at the rules now. So this first one I highlighted because we never really decided. We talked with Chief Alexander about whether that was feasible or not. Now, it does look like with the new bill that these things will be required to be registered with the registrar of vehicles,
Not the police department.
not the police department. So, do we require them to be registered with the police department in the meantime?
I think
No.
that Chief Alexander was pretty clear that they don't
No,
do registration for vehicles. That's all.
right.
And it would not make sense to set up that system.
No.
Especially when they might have something for mopeds over there on the books already.
Right. So we strike that, right?
Yes.
Then we already took away the part about applying for the registration, the fee for registration. Okay, so now D here is going to become A, right? No one under the age of 16 and a half shall be permitted to operate one of these devices. And they must be, I changed this to, oh, I highlighted these because you can't actually be either one of the following. You can't be 18, or you could be 18 years of age of old, and at least 16 with a driver's license. So that doesn't work. We have to reframe that a little bit. should be at least. Right?
Must be
At
one
least
of the
one of the
following.
following.
Yeah. At least one of the following.
Is that
Yes.
sound good to you?
Yeah.
Jonathan? Because there are people out there who are 18 and then that makes them obviously above 16 and a half already, and they possess a driver's license.
The only other.
Do I
could be
take
weird,
away this word or here?
Could do.
Because you guys have to be one of the following. You have to be 18 years of age. And it says at least one, so you
No,
can be both.
it should be. Okay, yeah, okay.
Because you could be both of those things at once.
You just said must meet one of the following requirements.
Must
It would
meet
just like,
Must.
I think that there's an implication kind of that it's one or the other, but rather no, must be one of the following, and then it could be yeah, then the implication is one or the other. Yeah. I don't hate your or there, honestly.
Okay, keep it.
Yeah, I think so. It's more clarification.
And then I should just get rid of this because I.
Okay. I think that looks good all the way through H.
So I did add in that playing fields and playgrounds because I did talk with Connie and she said the reason she had kept the beaches part in there was so that we thought about other places in town where people might be using these e-motos and e-bikes that we do not want them to be using, such as playing fields and playgrounds. Is there anything else that we're missing? Or is there a way of adding a clause?
For playing fields, playgrounds, sidewalks.
I guess the only other thing I can think of is if somebody was riding one around in, say, a cemetery.
I thought of cemeteries too. Yeah. Why can't I spell cemetery?
Okay.
I think we should we do sidewalks first though?
I don't know how kind of, I don't know what minutia we're looking for here, but like, could somebody be a stickler and say that the boardwalk is none of these
She
things?
did say the boardwalk too.
Boardwalk.
Boardwalks.
Sidewalk.
That's what I was thinking.
That's under sidewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to be
I think we should do
specific,
boardwalks
go
and
ahead.
docks.
I guess you can never be too specific.
Boardwalks and docks. I mean, honestly, like
Not
I
with
could
the
see
dogs.
barreling down one of those docks into the pond.
Through the oxbow in the pond. Tops. Inside the school.
Should we say like and other public
Yes.
areas
in
not
other-
intended for use by motorcycles or
Yes.
vehicles?
Yes, you should write that,
I think if we do that, we could probably take out.
everything else.
Well,
Well, I think we should include these.
I mean, I feel like this
Other
is,
public areas not designated.
Is that okay?
Sure. It can always be changed.
can I ask for a comment after cemeteries?
Oh yes, of course, definitely.
Much more are we doing tonight?
You know, it's getting late, right?
Yeah, I have a couple.
I mean, I'm willing to cruise. There's not a whole lot left.
Yeah, this is almost done.
Well, I guess we're almost done. All right. Cruise, dude.
You already said you were good through H.
What?
You said you were good through H,
I
right?
am.
Yeah, that far.
Should we say that these things need to be equipped with a voice bell or with a bell or horn and a front light,
So
front and rear lights?
if you look at this document that Alex sent us, some of them require RMV registration.
I know, that's the part I was saying that it doesn't make sense for us to have them register with the police.
And a lot of them,
Oh, they do require lights,
Mhm.
brakes.
yeah, they do.
Stop and turn signals.
Almost all of them. All of them we're talking about.
Oh, I didn't even know that tier ones require lights now,
Yes.
or tier zeros, like regular bikes.
I think that might still be. You see, the first column is UL electrical standard. Oh no, 0.A would be.
Regular bikes,
Yeah. Maybe reflectors count as
lights,
lights. They could.
but even horns, like my bike at home doesn't have a horn. I have a little bell on it only because I bought it, but not because it came with it.
Stop.
I don't think we need to state requirements of those things
Okay.
on the bikes themselves. We are saying in H, they need to signal their presence somehow.
Yeah. Although tier one, which is the class 3 bikes, is age 16 plus.
Yeah, we're not actually trying to do it. 200 for a second offense, 4 and 300.
Oh yeah, those are the ones that I'm like, I'm not sure those are right. So they are saying that the class 3s should not be on the sidewalks or the shared use paths. So maybe we do want class 3s on there too. Maybe we do want to include this being limited, this being also tier 1s.
Tier 1, class 3. Thursday.
Tier 1.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna do class 3, then it just should be all of tier 1. So the only reason we weren't doing
right,
tier 1
right,
was
right,
because
right,
it was
right.
class 3.
All right, let's not get sorry. I guess that question, let me read this over again, because you got section 3 enforcement, and it starts talking about fines, and you have section 4 fines.
Oh, do I? Yeah, you're right. That's kind of silly. That was just in the old one. Oh, because I think that would be like, if someone under the age of 16 to have or 18. I think that's what these other ones are like reckless. But I do agree we should organize that better.
Yeah, section 4 is really all about reckless endangerment. They're much more significant in terms of fines.
Yeah. Although I do feel like the thing I didn't like about these is that, like, if you are to cause serious bodily injury, I don't like $5,000 being the cap on that.
Well,
Because you would assume that that's going to end up going to court, right? Like, there's going to be a lawsuit and everything. And I don't think that we should be putting any type of cap that would potentially disrupt that lawsuit from happening or make it more confusing than it needs to be.
I think that this is,
I guess those would be
It's a
fines given to the city.
yes, people can sue for whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be out of the city's hands if.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could be penalized, like, for instance, if you have a criminal case, right, you might have to pay a fine of maybe a criminal case. You get in an auto accident, right? And it's negligence, you're drunk driving. Is a perfect example. You're gonna have to pay fines, lawyer fees, etc. Plus the people can sue you in civil damage liable for any harm which your insurance might cover. I mean, I guess this would be, I don't know if I'd be in favor of requiring people to carry insurance, but it's an option. I don't think I'd be in favor of voting for something that would force people to carry insurance on e-bikes.
I don't think so either. I think to that point, like, having these fines does not preclude further legal action being taken against the individuals, and I think that
Do you want to add anything? Or do you not think?
I
we need
think
to?
no, I think
I
that's
think it's
just given, just the way that it is. And so, to your point, I think this is a fine that would be paid to Easthampton for not being in line with our ordinance, but that there could very well be other costs associated with whatever crimes they're charged with.
Or, I mean, let's say somebody does rip through the cemetery with one of these things and does a lot of like damage. That's another thing that I'm sure that falls into their vandalism laws and stuff, which would cover that, but I mean, it's a possibility. But I don't think we need to define it as necessarily.
No, and I think that that falls under B, right? That would be a destruction of property.
On top of whatever else.
Yeah, the more we read, I see how that first sentence about fines is different than the rest of these. I think I'm kind of actually, it makes sense to me that they're up there. Now that I've wrapped my head around these other four.
The first
But then that is the end of that document after the fines, so.
I feel like this has a long way to go.
Like I said, I'm gonna print this out separate along with the general law and look it over and make any notations where I think there should be corrections. We can rectify it later.
I think it's closer than you think it is.
I think it's close.
We need to make sure that,
I think for fine. Oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say, I think we need to make sure that our fines are, make sense for what they are, and that the police can weigh in on that. And I think we need to make sure that honing in on tier 2 and 3 is what makes the most sense for people who are actually using these things. After we kind of do that clarifying, got to make sure we've got the right definitions, but I think that the rest of it, the language is pretty much there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think in fines, we should have like a little blurb before we start listing them that says that these are fines payable to the city, blah, blah, blah. Something like that.
That makes sense.
There may be additional fines. The laws are broken.
Yeah.
On top of this.
These fines do not include anything like issued by the state or like,
Criminal.
yeah, or whatever. As a result of, I think we need to take out that their name, address, take out the registration number.
Take out the registration.
Oh, and B here.
Yeah.
I know we have to finish up.
Oh, I'm just straight up. Sorry, I was just straight up editing. We don't want to do that.
We should do name, address, and phone number. What?
I think I'm gonna post it. It may be few and far between these days, but could be somebody out there without a phone.
How would you ever find them?
Technically,
just
there
go
could
to
be
their
people
driveway.
without an address. And it's-
True. Yeah, no, honestly, probably more likely.
some people don't have one. Most people have a name, though. There's that.
But at least with the address, they can be followed up with. comma in there. Does that make sense? It's the same for actually kind of each of these. I feel like there's a little, I don't want to get to those.
What is it?
Never mind. It's like each one of these has a little clause at the end. And actually the last one does have a comma before shall. Here, I'm just gonna
So
stick
then
that in.
you do that for all of those.
I may.
Yes.
Thank you for all the work that you've clearly put into this. Again, I think it looks like we're certainly a lot closer than the last time.
I think you're really. Fire department, I mean, not the fire, the police. Put in their 2 cents.
What?
Is it okay? I just,
All right, I'll review that other document. Let's see if anything needs to be added or whatever. Let's set a meeting date for our next one. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. What are we thinking?
do something for August 4th.
Is that our next meeting?
First Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we need to. What do you guys think?
Tuesday before.
Well, the August 4th would be our next meeting.
Yes.
Like, we were talking about potentially having one before that.
For the traffic rules.
For that and
And
for
this.
this. I mean, if we could have one for this, then we'll have more time for the traffic rules after that. Do we want to try to have one for this like next week or?
Next week.
Especially, but be open to the 21st.
21st.
Are you gonna be on vacation?
Oh, I'm going to be on vacation that week.
28th.
Between the 14th and the 28th, I don't have a preference.
I was only thinking next week because then maybe we would be successful at finishing it. And then we could, I'm assuming it's going to need a public hearing, right? Then we could ask for the public hearing at our council meeting.
I have something going on the 14th and I can't remember what.
It doesn't have to be Tuesday either. It could be Monday.
Monday would be better, but I'm not sure about Jonathan.
Not better.
Wait, it's okay if we don't.
Hopefully do probably like 6:15 on Monday.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
I'll make it work.
We're just gonna be doing this though, right?
Yeah.
So we could even make it later.
Yeah.
6:30, would that be easier for you? Is it just,
Not necessarily, it's just like the turnaround from work to
Okay.
getting here, make sure I've picked up everything.
Can we request a public hearing even if we don't have it totally ready?
I don't think so.
Could we? Yes.
Because our next meeting is until August.
Right.
That's the reason why I want to request it on the 15th, because we don't have another meeting in July.
Could. Would.
So that would make sense. I mean, I think we could request it regardless. It just needs to be ready in time for, the be posted.
Which is just like before, right? With the agenda.
Wait, you want to have a public hearing on the 15th?
I want to have a public hearing on our August date.
Oh, I think we'll be good by then.
So I want to be able to request it on the 15th. So we have to when we do the committee reports, I have to request a public hearing, and everyone has to vote to say, yes, we can have a public hearing.
Okay, I see what you mean. You can request the public, yeah.
I think we could more confidently answer that question at our meeting next week.
Well, I'm saying I don't want to have a meeting if it's not going to work for you.
Oh, I mean,
But
don't
we
worry
could do it the following week if we can accomplish the same goal no matter what, of requesting the public hearing.
we can't do the following week because
Okay.
you'd be gone. But
Okay, we got-
Or we could do it like Thursday, if that's better for you.
On the 16th.
actually slightly.
It's worse.
I'm really okay with like between the 13th and the 14th or the 27th and 28th, like the conflicts that I have are going to be the same regardless. So one over, like doing it sooner is fine. but-
Okay. And you're okay with the 14th? Jonathan?
I'm-
Nathan?
So we were talking about the
You guys have both know you have like Nathan in your names, right?
I'm a
You're
decade.
like Joe
I'm a
David.
decade older. I came first.
No, I have very bad name retrieval problems. It's bad. It's very bad.
I'm a decade older. I called dibs.
You said you had something the 14th.
Yeah, I feel like I have something on 14. It's not the fire thing that I wrote down, is it?
Oh, that is the 14th.
You
Yeah,
should
we
be
have to go
there.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
obviously.
Should do that instead. But you don't feel confident in doing it the 28th?
I am fine with doing the 28th as long as we request them hearing on the 15th.
That's fine. I think that'll give you more lead time to invite other people to come.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Giving it just a week or less than a week, you'll be able to set up, be like, hey, Chief Alexander, and hey, bike expert people, come by here.
Okay, so have the next one on July 28th.
I think the public will still be good with the worst case scenario. The public hearing is set, the public hearing starts, say, hey, we need to continue the public hearing, and it happens at a later date. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Worst
But
case.
people would be mad about that. So
Who's gonna be mad
I
about it?
mean, people who come to the meeting expecting to have a public hearing.
Yeah, they might be mad.
I'd rather like,
You won't be more mad than the override. So,
I think what I'm hearing is that's like a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
worst case
we can
scenario.
still start the public hearing probably. I mean, we have enough done to start the public hearing, right?
Yeah.
And I can make
people
sure, I think we're very close, so.
August 5th is our full council. I got that right.
August 5th, yes.
Okay, so that would still give us a week if we needed to meet on Oh, we have a meeting on the 4th anyway. Okay, that's perfect.
That would give us
That's
two
fine. It would
meetings
give
in
us two
between.
meetings, yeah. Okay. Right, so our next meeting is July 28th at 6 p.m. All right, I will take a motion to close.
6 p.m. Second. I mean, motion to close.
Second.
Or adjourn, I should say. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Motion passes.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.